Welcome back to another Rebel's Edge. In fact, the final Rebel's Edge of the week. We go Monday through Thursday, folks, and I'll be coming to you live from Yerevan, Armenia. That's the AGBU, Armenian General Benevolent Union. And Pete will be coming to you from somewhere in the United States. We don't know where, or I would disclose it. And we've got lots to talk about today, so let's get to it on the Rebel's Edge.
All right. How's that food over there, John? Is it?
It's all meat. It's all meat all the time.
Which is kind of weird, really, because one of the reasons why a lot of people think that the Armenians are one of the longest living folks out there on a yearly basis or whatever, is because they do such a great job of kind of, a lot of vegetables, a lot of meat, but a lot of fish and they do a nice job of kind of mixing it all in there. But from the sounds of it from you, it's like a meat-a-thon or something going on over there.
I think they're trying to kill me.
Somebody didn't like our grandfather, I guess.
Yeah. Again, Garabed, the Lazar Nigerian school. And there's 4 more names in there, Pete.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Lazar Nigerian, blah, 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 blah school in Aleppo, Syria. But obviously, he did a lot of great things for people, and they're still grateful for it. Yep. And that's why they're trying to kill me. It's great. But let's talk about the market, Pete.
Yep, let's do it.
We'll dive right into macro. And in the macro side of things, it seems that, wow, the earnings for the most part are wowing, Pete. But then, it's like we open up big and then we kind of drift lower and then maybe we bounce or whatever. And that seems to be a pattern that I've detected from 3,000 miles away from New York. But it seems to be a pretty obvious pattern so far.
Well, no doubt about that, John. I would just say it's day 16. This is probably about what you thought and I thought it would be at least this much, but not hopefully, not a whole lot more than the 16 days that we've got. So I think that's part of what's going on. The shutdowns is a concern, but also, the rhetoric that's going back and forth between Xi and Trump certainly isn't helping. I mean, and sometimes it softens and then it gets aggressive again. And, it happens to both of them, to each other's countries or whatever. So, you know what? I think that's been as big of an influence as there is, John, because like you just said, the earnings are absolutely unbelievable so far. I mean, just outright outrageous, particularly talking about the financials, but not just the financials. There's other names out there as well that are absolutely crushing it. So I think that's giving a pretty good answer to a lot of the folks out there that were concerned about, well, is the economy doing this? You and I have talked about this a million times. People are going out to eat. I don't care what you say. I see it for myself with boots on the ground. People are going out to eat. They're going to stores. Are they trading down? Yeah, to some degree, but that's something we sort of expected. So, I look at this as, there's some good catalysts out there, but that issue going back and forth between Xi and Trump, that's got to somehow soften a little bit, or the markets are going to have a hard time like they are right now, spiking up, pulling back, spiking up again, pulling back. I mean, that's what we've been doing for the last few days.
Well, let's talk about something that's spiking up and hardly pulling back at all, Pete. For fantastic futures, I'm going to say it's gold.
Gold.
Because gold last night closed at 387.39. Today, it traded $6 higher than that, Pete. It hit a new 52-week and all-time high. This is GLD we're talking here, folks, of 393.20. And at mid-session, we're at 392.82. So we are just blowing the doors off gold, silver, I mean, you name it. They are coming for this stuff, Pete. And I think when you said that, how long will the shutdown last? I think you're exactly right. We're getting past the optimistic level And now we're getting into the harder core folks that think it might go on for 30 days instead of 15.
Yep, and that is a big change. I'll tell you what, you're exactly right on this whole thing going on with gold, John. And I can say this. We have it out there. Everybody who's a part of Market Rebellion understands this, because when you look at UOA, John, what do we see? Almost every single day is GLD call buying, either in the form of just going out there naked and buying calls, or buying call spreads. But in size, we're talking about 60,000, 80,000, 100,000 lots coming in. And that's been very, very big and a huge influence, I think. And people have, until we stop seeing that, I expect to see gold continuing to go to the upside. And then they'll finally get a point, John, where they'll be wrong, but they haven't been wrong yet. This has been going on for quite a long time. I mean, really an absolute incredible run to the upside. Crude oil is the other side of things on the opposite, because where is crude oil? Well, it's trading right around 58. It's just tipping underneath 58 right now as we speak. So interesting to see how that's been reacting. And that's something that I think a lot of people have probably taken their eye off the ball, but I think we need to keep that. So we're seeing silver and gold fly into the upside. We're seeing oil, crude oil, dropping like a rock. And then you look over and you say, well, based upon all of these things that we've already put out there, that's the reason why we were in that 16 to 17 or 15 to 16 sort of a VIX that we had for such a long time. Well, that ain't where it is anymore, John. Now I'd say 18 to 22. And that's a little bit wider, but that's the range where we are. And it seems like in the mornings, we start to pull back a little bit. In the afternoon, when we start moving around a little bit more to the downside, that's when we see those spikes up towards 22, 23. Something to keep a very close eye on. We haven't seen a lot of VIX call buying, except for what we'd seen, and we talked about maybe a month or so ago, John, when they were going out and buying massive amounts of either spreads out in November or December. Well, they hit it right, because had they gone short term, they probably would have been wrong. But by going out to November and December, they're capturing exactly what we're seeing right now, which is watching that VIX go straight up.
Yep. And, whether that player, 50 Cent, is a hedger, or whether he or she is just a directional trade and they wait until it's cheap enough and then they just buy a ton, usually 150 to 200,000 options, folks. It's incredible to see. I think they probably haven't needed the protection as much, Pete, but certainly the fact that it's a far cry from 16 levels and 15 levels up here, as it trades through 20 each day and then eases back down. I think we got to keep our eye on that.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's bring in the one and only Geoff Garbacz.
Garbacz.
Geoff is, of course, a guy that kicks off the day for an awful lot of you that are on the Market Rebellion subscription side, whether it's the Rebel setup or whether it's, his Rebel shorts. This is a guy that really has his finger on the pulse of where are we likely to see some of the biggest squeezes, as in these short squeezes, and what is the market in general doing? And so, Geoff, welcome back to the show, sir.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. It's been really kind of interesting again. Let's take a look here at the latest update that we did in Rebel Squeeze Play Pro. It's just amazing to me. NASDAQ hit another all-time high, 17,289 million, up from 17,146. New York came down a little bit, but nothing huge. It was 18,294 million, and then it went to 17,964. So really not much of a change. If we go here and we look at where the biggest increases were, retailers, banks, and then it's really interesting. We tracked this all by sectors. All the other sectors fell, but the 1 month change is still pretty positive. The 3 month change is definitely down a little bit. So there has been a little bit of short covering, but not a crazy amount of short covering. What's crazy is this. So here are the top 50 NASDAQ jumps in short interest, okay? Number one, Plug Power, which, I mean, Jon and Pete, you guys know it from Rebel's Edge and the Rebel Roundup with Justin. I mean, this has been talked about, and that's where the shorts are going. They're like, we're gonna take this thing out, and it's taking them out instead. And then another one like this. Look at Cypher Mining. Look how this thing is just gone, and they're shorting this as well. Quantum computing. I actually like this chart a lot because it hasn't been as crazy to the upside, and here come the shorts, back into it. And then this rich tech robotics, which I know you guys have been talking about as well. I mean, in terms of aggressiveness, we don't have a statistic that tracks it, but I would say right now the aggressiveness of the short sellers is pretty much a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. They're going after anything that's moving big to the upside and trying to go after it, and continuing to go after, like, look at NVIDIA. The short intensity is now 100%. And that's the range of the short ratio historically over the last 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, and 5 years. So that's the NASDAQ side of things. And if we go to the New York side of things, StubHub. I mean, this is classic. I mean, as soon as this thing came public, came down a bit, they're like, we're all over it as far as the short goes. We only have one data point so far, and it was the second biggest changer. IONQ, they just added to, again, another name that's been doing really well. And then on the New York side, they're definitely going a little bit after some of the commodity stuff. Look at Hecla Mining. You can see how the gray is the absolute number of shares short. The short ratio popped, and now the short intensity is starting to move up. Look at KGC, Kinross Gold, popping as well. So it just shows you the amount of aggressiveness. One of my names that I like is this Transocean, which we all know from the Deepwater Horizon problem, and the stock fell and it's coming back to life. Their leases are up to like over 250 million and climbing. They just put out some numbers on that, and here come the shorts, attacking it. So I guess what I would finish with is we're just seeing a large amount of aggressiveness by the short sellers. No fear.
Yeah. And, I'd put it a different way, folks. Geoff did a great job as always, but I'd say that they've been wrong and they're not willing to take their lumps. They instead are doubling down and they're putting more shorts out there. So if we have an October swoon of any significance, then I guess some of them might get back to whole, or at least partially whole, Geoff. But the hole they've dug is so deep right now, the shorts, that is, folks, that even if we do see a 5 or even a 10% correction, a lot of these guys, it's not going to be back to break even. They'll have more money in their account than they had, but I mean, they've been riding short since April or longer.
Well, and the worst place for all this stuff is in the market neutral. If you look at market neutral, it's just really underperforming in a big way, and it's because of the short side. I know we have to put up a list every week in Erlanger of our favorite longs and our favorite shorts, and it's tough right now. I mean, stuff that's weak has been bouncing. And the reason some of that's been bouncing is because no one's short. And there's a reason no one's short, because they actually have fundamentals. And then people are like, okay, this thing's low enough now, I'm going to buy it. And, you get the pop. So anyway, the market neutral guys have had a very tough time this year. And that's a story that just has not been told. It's been kept very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Geoff.
Thank you, Geoff. Great stuff as always, man.
See you guys.
See you, folks. Geoff Garbacz, and once again, he is the Rebel setup, as well as the Rebel Short Squeeze and Short Squeeze Pro. Those are services that Geoff puts out there, and it's certainly good to know where those short squeezes could be, because he's telling you each week which ones they've added to and whether or not they've been right. And so far, it doesn't seem like it's there. Every once in a while, there's a good one for the shorts, Pete. The next one we're about to show you, folks, is not one of those. The first stock of the day, Pete, is PRAX. And how many times do you see a triple-digit gain for a stock, Pete, that is a multi-billion-dollar stock?
Yeah.
This is not some $10 million stock, folks. PRAX, or Praxis Precision Medicines, jumped over 212% today. Maybe it's even higher right now. But I mean, they announced positive top-line results. I mean, that thing is just straight up, Pete. Just straight up. And basically, what they do is it's a movement disorder. The drug successfully met the primary endpoint of the first study. And so that means it demonstrated a statistically significant improvement. And phase 3 trials, this is going to be something special, Pete.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you are short, this is why you want to be in puts when you put on a short position, because all you can lose is what you paid for the puts. You do not want to be trading stock. It's not an option.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah, when you look at the top line, John, and you're starting to look at this thing, and they had phase 1, things went well. Primary endpoints were reached, all the rest of it. Now we're talking about phase 3, and that's the one that's so important, because now all that information goes out there in front of the folks that are actually going to produce it for them and say, hey, here's your approval or not. And most likely, given what they have just been able to do, John, I would say that they are the odds on them getting approval is going to be great. And like you talked about, this is a movement disorder. I'll tell you what they have built here, the fact that, like you said, 212% is how much this was up today. It's pulled up off of and that didn't show on the graph. It didn't show the absolute high of the day. It must have happened in the pre-market, but 205.89 is what we'd seen, John. So those are some huge numbers that we're talking about. And this isn't just the option. This is the stock. Imagine the option. If you have an option type position on there, it'd be pretty extraordinary what you'd be able to see. Now, the volumes there, first 90 minutes, John, unbelievable. I mean, on average, it trades about 460,000 shares in a day. Well, 9.5 million shares traded in the first 90 minutes of the day. So were people pretty active? Oh, yeah, they were. I mean, this is a stock that's the low is 26, the high is 205.90, which is today. Absolutely amazing. And in the back seat of what we just were talking about there with Geoff, they got about a 12.5% short interest there. Those shorts are getting crushed, John, absolutely crushed. And I don't know if somebody's in there pretty big, that's probably taking them out. And I don't cheer that at all. It's just the fact that it looks pretty bad for them, because they were betting for this thing not to get that approval, clearly with that sort of size. And yet they did, and that ain't feeling so good right now for those guys that are short PRAX.
Well, that's PRAX, folks.
Yep.
Praxis Precision Medicines. Let's talk now about a logistics and trucking company, Pete, JB Hunt, which is JBHT. These guys are up 18%, and they're like pegged right at 18%, Pete. It hasn't moved. It just like popped up 18, and it's flat right there at that line. And, you know, they beat on Q3 earnings estimates. I get it. Revenue was down slightly, but that was priced in, that they would see a little bit of a fall off in revenue. And meanwhile, operating income increased by 8% to $242 million. Those are some pretty good numbers, as well as the fact that JBHT or JB Hunt is one of these, you know, stars of the trucking space, Pete, and logistics. And right now, it's trading triple its normal daily volume.
They answered the bell, John, is what I would say. So this is not just about financials. This is the time of the year where the financials kick it off, but there's a heck of a lot of other stocks involved as well. This one's nowhere close to the financials. This is trucking that we're talking about here. But you know what they really showed that they can do, John? They figured out a way to have far better efficiency to what they were doing. Higher revenue per truck is one of the things that the CEO was talking about there. You know, when you look at the earnings and they're up, 18, 19%, and they put up a 176 versus a 146 expected. That was pretty impressive. Like you said, they were expecting the revenue to be down just a little bit, but year over year, they still beat those expectations. Across the board, they had their beats. And this is a stock that now trades, call it about $165, something like that. It's sort of right in the middle of the 52-week low and high. Trades at a PE of 19. Tell you what, John, this one kind of gets interesting because if they're able to do this efficiently in a very difficult market, how are they going to be able to do if the market improves just a little bit? I'd say pretty damn good. Their 52-week high is 200. They're sitting at 165. I think this is a stock that could maybe at some point in time, next 6 or 9 months, maybe tests that number to the upside because what they put up in this particular earnings in a season, in a quarter where a lot of people would have said, well, you know, JB Hunt's probably not doing so great. Well, actually, they did pretty damn good.
Yeah. Anytime you can bank that kind of money, I'll say you're having a good quarter. All right. How about FOSL, Pete? So these guys, a watchmaker, you know, are they on a par with Swatch and that kind of watch? Well, they're certainly not Rolex. And there's a number of other watches like Audemars Piguet and things like that they are not those either. These watches are not nearly as expensive, but nonetheless, this stock, Pete, has been cratering. Right now, it's down 27% on the day. Deadline for people to exchange those 7% notes that they have due in 2026 is here. And once again, they've had to extend that deadline because people are like, nah, I don't want the stock. I'll stay with this 7% yield. Thank you very much. So FOSL is just cratering, Pete. When you look at a longer-term graph of FOSL, it is pretty damned ugly. I mean, you know, a 5-year chart of this thing, there were a lot of days back in 21 when it was over $17 a share. Now it's barely holding on to 275. Yeah.
You know what? This whole debt restructure thing, John, as you mentioned right out of the gate, and it's exactly right. I mean, the problem is, okay, well, you had an issue in September and you said, you know what, can we just get a little bit more time? So they did. And now all of a sudden they say, once again, hey, we need a little bit more time. I think that's where some of the frustration comes. That's why this stock is getting battered today and down 28%. I mean, this is an issue that's not going to be resolved, I don't think, all that easily. Now, is it all that far away from the 52-week highs at a little over $4, almost $4.50? The answer is it's not that far away, but that's part of the problem too. This is a company that's really struggling. I don't know if it's heavy competition, John, or what it is, but for whatever reason, FOSL is not making what they used to make, and it doesn't have the appeal that they once had. And I think that becomes a real problem. So this whole thing with this restructuring, they've got to get it done. They've got to get this thing moving to the right direction. And until they do that, I wouldn't touch this thing because it just feels wrong right now. Now, I could be wrong, and maybe it gets a good spike if they get the right time frame for this restructuring. But you know what? So far, they haven't been able to show us that they can do anything because they've already pushed that September to now, and now they're pushing this one even further out. So I would just say, you know what? There's a heck of a lot of other stocks out there. Why would I waste my time with this one?
Well, we've got another one that you might not want to waste your time with. But if you're short, and again, if you're short through puts, which is the only way Pete or I would trade a position, once again, because when you purchase a put, folks, that limits your exposure to anything bad, like a big rally with PRAX. All you could lose is what you paid for the put. On the other hand, it does give you leverage to the direction, in this case, downside, because that's what options do. They're leveraged, but they have an expiration date. They're not perpetuals and so forth. So Veritone, Pete, it's basically an AI, what do they say? Human-centered enterprise AI. Okay, what does that mean? Well, it's operating system AI, where they basically use machine learning algorithms or AI models together with a suite of applications that actually some humans use. So there's a little bit of human here. But this one's down 18 or 19%, Pete, and it's pretty much the exact same thing we just looked at. Shares falling because their capital raise and resulting dilution. Now, the other guys couldn't raise capital, really. They were just trying to convert people from, a relatively high interest rate convert and force them into the stock. Well, they're not doing that up there with FOSL, and down here, they basically sold 12.8 million shares at $583 a share. Well, it ain't 583 anymore, but now people are chasing it down from last night's close, Pete.
Yeah, stock's getting beat up pretty good. As you mentioned just now, you're talking about it, the dilution. $75 million is what their direct offering was. So they were looking for that. I'll tell you what looked really bad to me was when I did take a look, I wanted to take a peek at the balance sheet of this company and see, how are they doing? This is an AI company, right? Every single AI is going to work, right? Well, probably not. But in this case, I don't know what it looks like, but it don't look all that good to me, John. And when you look at that balance sheet, it's like, holy crap, this thing is upside down. Everything you'd want to have bigger needs to be, and it's back and forth. It's just terrible. The cash burn is pretty high still. So despite the fact that you're raising this and you're doing this and whatever, they're burning cash pretty rapidly, John. They got huge short interest in this one as well. Well, I shouldn't say overly huge, but about 8 or 9%. So it's a pretty decent amount of short interest in this one. It just doesn't seem to me that they are going in the right direction. It seems like the folks that were maybe determined that this thing could make of a move because of the fact of the AI, maybe they're right, but there's a hell of a lot of other AI companies out there, John, that I think make a lot more sense than this one. And for that reason, I would look at this. And when I look at that balance sheet, even with what they've done with this dilution and this cap raise that they put out there, this is, to me, is a no touch. I think there are far better places that I could go in that whole world of AI and data centers and all the rest of that. And why waste my time with this one? And I know that sounds pretty critical, but hey, look, these guys are the ones that have put themselves into this position where the balance sheet's as bad as it is, even with the dilution that they're putting on right now.
Well, seems like neither of us like those last two stocks, Pete.
No, we don't.
Again, FOSL and Veritone, folks. That's FOSL and VERI. All right, Pete, let's dive into a little sports. This is a segment that's one of your favorites. I'll let you lead it.
All right. You know, where are our videos, man? I mean, what's going on? I know you're over in Armenia, but
I was with a bunch of freaking rare earth miners today, Pete. I was with some crypto dudes. There's crypto all over the place here in Armenia, and a bunch of other sit-down meetings. So I unfortunately wasn't able to get to the videos. Sorry about that.
No big deal. I got 3 games. We'll go over one, and each one of us will give a thought on it and what we think against the spread. I thought it'd be kind of fun today to do that, John, just to make it a little bit more interesting, right? So, top games of this week. I'm going to go with the number 1 that I put on mine, which is LSU number 10 against number 17 Vanderbilt. Now, Vanderbilt has turned the corner and has turned into a much different program than they were. They're not quite Indiana, but they're sort of like Indiana, right, John? I mean, they've been able to last year beat somebody like Alabama. This year, sitting pretty damn good. They've got a quarterback that's thrown 14 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Meanwhile, Nussmeier down there at LSU was somebody that everybody talked about Heisman-like before the season started. He was a great, call for that, but he's got 5 interceptions with his only 9 touchdowns. Now, we talked about wide receivers yesterday at Ohio State. Let's be honest. LSU is probably right there neck and neck with Ohio State as far as the talent that they've got at wide receiver. Vandy is favored by 2.5. I just said Vandy is favored by 2.5. Who do you
Wow.
take in this one?
Is that a
believe
sucker
Vandy's at
bet,
home.
Pete?
Huh?
Is that a sucker bet?
Could be. What do you think on this one, though? Is LSU got a? I mean, they've got a shot, but I believe this is a road game for them. So I'm going to take the fact that I think LSU actually is a better team than they've showed in the first 5 or 6 games. So for that reason, even on the road, as good as Vanderbilt is, I got to think that LSU's got a good chance to cover that 2.5.
Yeah, and they don't have the same benefit that they had when they beat Bama last year, Pete.
Right.
Because, they're a known quantity this year.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, nobody would have given them a chance in hell, and I think the point spread reflected it. Mm-hmm. This year, like you said, the point spread is their favorite. So, I can't believe that that team that, like you said, had so many great players on offense, in particular, LSU. Yep. And they've always got a solid defense and every once in a while a real standout defense. But since their linebacker started dating the coach's daughter at Ole Miss, Pete, it hasn't looked all that great for them on defense. Women weaken legs.
The Rock.
That's an old Rocky quote, folks. Actually, it's not Rocky. It's from the movie Rocky, but it was Mickey, his trainer, that told him that. But anyway, passing touchdowns, Pete, LSU 15. That's 13th overall in FBS. LSU Tigers, how many passing touchdowns? 10. So you kind of see why, at 5-1, each of them, you're looking at points per game, 43 for Vandy and only 25 for LSU. So you can see why the scales would get a little, off balance, Pete, if you will, for the home team. It's going to be played in Nashville. But this one, rushing touchdowns, 19 for Vanderbilt. You know how many LSU has? 7. I mean,
you sound like you're going for Vandy on this thing with the 2.5, huh?
Well, I think it's a sucker bet. And when they put these sucker bets out there, they figure, everybody's going to go with LSU. Yeah, I'm going to go with Vandy, Pete.
All right.
Because, this is a team that can score and has scored, and LSU has not scored the kind of points. I know 5-1 still means they're both bowl eligible, obviously, but I don't know if the level of competition reflects how big that spread really is. Again, 19 rushing touchdowns to 7. That tells me that the O-line's doing the job, Pete. So, the first one of those, I'm picking the favorite.
All right. I got the other side, so we'll have to see how that one cleans up. Brian Kelly, he's got a short rope, let's be honest. I mean, everybody's like, he's the greatest coach, and he's done a great job. But he all of a sudden goes into these slumps every once in a while, John, where they just don't look like the team that everybody expects with all the talent that they've got. But I don't know. I like Vandy, but Vandy ain't sneaking up on him this time. Vandy's right out there in front of them, and I think LSU understands that. Next up, how about Ole Miss and Georgia? Ole Miss is number 5. Georgia's number 9. Georgia is favored, John, by 7.5 points. Now, Ole Miss is one of those teams that's actually 6-0. Nobody's beat them yet. But I will say this, their wins have not been impressive, but they're wins. Let's be honest. A win is a win, but they haven't been all that impressive. The quarterback play has been good, but not great. He's thrown 7 touchdowns, Chambliss has, against 1 interception. So that's great. And he's run for about 280 yards for Ole Miss. That's also great. But I just look at this one and I think, well, Georgia is still Georgia. That quarterback of theirs has 6 touchdowns and 1 interception. It's run for 220 yards and 6 touchdowns. So I think the athleticism side of this one, for me, tips over towards Georgia. And I don't think Ole Miss has played great yet this year. They've played good. They've played some very easy opponents. So they're going to get into the thick part of their schedule now. I think Georgia's one of them, and I think Georgia beats them, and they might beat them by 15. So I'm taking Georgia in 7.5.
I'm with you on that one. And the simple fact is so many of the great players that Pete and I have seen and have come out of Georgia on defense
Yeah.
They have great players on offense too, but on defense, I like Lane Kiffin, Pete, and I think he does give them a high, a high voltage or whatever phrase you want to use for that offense. But they haven't really been putting the points up in the same way that some of us thought that they should against teams that they could put up big points, and they haven't. So even though they're 6-0, I'm going to take Georgia also.
All right, I like it. All right, last one. We got number 11 Tennessee playing number 6 Bama. Both of them are 5-1. They've both had their one loss in really tight games. It's not like either of them have gotten blown away, John. As a matter of fact, the Florida State loss for Bama was week 1. So Bama didn't put on the Little Sisters of the Poor in game 1. They actually played a pretty damn good football team. So in Florida State. So what do you think in this one? I'm leaning, and here's what the spread is, that right now Bama's favored by 7.5. Tennessee's damn good. Good quarterback. They got good running backs. They've got a lot of talent, big offensive line. They've got all of that going for them, John. But if I'm not mistaken, this game is at Alabama. And Ty Simpson this year has been unbelievable. This kid's like an 18-year-old freshman, John. Week 1 was when they lost to Florida State, week 1. And the quarterback probably didn't have a great game, let's just say. Well, he's had a great game ever since then. As a matter of fact, so far in the season, John, he's got 16 touchdowns with 1 interception. 1. So he knows how to hold on to the ball. I think because of that and the talent of all of the rest of what Bama comes with, and both Tennessee and Bama are just loaded everywhere. But I just got to go with Bama. I know that's a lot of points. It's probably silly on my part to take it, so I'm not going to influence you. But I think Bama actually beats up on Tennessee.
I am really tempted to take Tennessee.
I don't blame you, man.
But the way Bama's been playing lately, Pete, they've been kind of putting the past behind them and looking forward. And their defense is much better than Tennessee's. Tennessee's offense, they are the number 1 scoring offense, folks, in the FBS. How about that? 48 points a game. Now, but Alabama's defense, they haven't played them. And that's tough. I'm going to go with Bama with you on this one, Pete.
I wouldn't have blamed you if you took Tennessee, because you and I both love Tennessee. Obviously, Kenny Chesney kind of guys who love all that. East Tennessee, the whole thing, man. I mean, it's great. But, Bama's still got that allure that they've got, man. And I'll tell you, a lot of people might not love the head coach, but I'll tell you what, he's got the best freshman quarterback playing right now, I think. I mean, the guy literally looks like a Heisman candidate as a freshman. I mean, has anybody ever done that? My guess would be no, but who knows? The kid looks damn good. All right, John, how about a little NFL instead of the college game? We got a game tonight. Now, I know that you're over there, and right now, shoot, it's probably 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night, whatever the hell it is, but it's late. You're probably not going to be up watching this game, although you might wake up and start watching the game. I don't know. That could be a possibility. But the Steelers and Bengals. Now, the Bengals stink, right? They just do. They're missing all these different pieces, specifically their quarterback. They went out and decided to go for the old man and Joe Flacco. I haven't figured out that one at all yet, John, but it's interesting, if nothing else. But the Steelers. Right now, Aaron Rodgers, who, he's gotten a lot of criticism, right? Because the offseason, he is the focal point of what the hell is he going to do? Who's he going to sign with? How much is it going to be? By the way, the money wasn't even an issue. That was nothing. But how would he get along with the coach? Well, apparently pretty good. He's got 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's thrown almost at 70% completion rate, John. So they've got a damn good defense. That's for sure. They always do at Pittsburgh. And now all of a sudden you've got an offense with a guy who actually can quarterback a football team. They haven't seen that in a few years, but they've got one right now. And Aaron Rodgers seems to be settling in pretty good as the quarterback, John. So when you look at the Steelers, they're number 2 in sacks. They've got 20. They're number 3 in turnovers with 7. So the fact that he's got DK Metcalf, that I don't know how anybody ever stops this guy. I mean, I would say I would pressure him. I would make sure that my quarterback throws him 10 a game. At least target him 10 times a game and just see what happens when you've got a guy who's 6'5", maybe taller, runs a 4.3, maybe faster, weighs about 2.25 or 230, and he's shredded. I mean, I'm not sure what corner is going to be able to ever stop him. I don't know why coaches don't understand, John, how good that guy is. Throw him the damn ball. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'll look at a tight end, but I'll look at him just for a look, fake it, and go out to Metcalf. I think the Steelers beat the crap out of him tonight.
I wouldn't disagree with that, Pete. You and I are friends with Aaron. We both rooted for him when he went to the Jets and went down in game 1 as a Jet. And although he did come back last year and his stats certainly said he wasn't done. Right. And now with the Steelers, his stats once again show that he ain't done. Do I think he's got much more gas in the tank? No, but maybe that focus of knowing that, retirement is coming fast at him will make sure that he really takes advantage of every break that the Steelers get. And they get a lot because, TJ Watt and that defense are stout. So, yes, I agree with you. This one could be a little tilted towards the Steelers, a little more than the bookies think.
And that defense, John, they are so good. TJ Watt is just an amazing guy, how his motor works. I mean, I think his motor is better than JJ's, to be honest with you. No offense to that whole thing with the brothers, but younger brothers tend to know a lot more than the older brothers. Anyway, I'm just kidding. But he's an animal. That guy doesn't give up on a play ever. I mean, if you ever just watch the highlights of his sacks, a lot of the time he's been blocked. But he'll do a spin and he'll go flying around the other side, one side or the other or whatever, and he'll catch the quarterback who now has stepped up in the pocket and, that type of thing. He just never stops. And he reminds me of the Bosas, quite frankly, because both of those guys, same thing. They're unstoppable. When they're healthy, they're unbelievable.
Yep. Well, we hope you enjoyed the show today, folks. We will be back on Monday next week. I will be back on island in Puerto Rico. And once again, Pete will be at points unknown. But we certainly encourage you to check out marketrebellion.com/get started for a look at all the subscription offerings and educational offerings that we have. And we'll have some more news for you next week. So stay tuned. But I can't remember next week what date or what time is it on, Pete?
It's going to be 1 p.m. Eastern, John, but it's the Eastern. It's not, Armenia time and all that kind of thing. It's 1 p.m. Eastern time.
1 p.m. Eastern. See you then, folks.